So you've been eyeballing VR treadmills. You watched some videos, you narrowed it down to two, the Virtuix Omni 1 and the Cat VR Catwalk C2 Plus Enhanced. But now you're stuck because every review on YouTube is about one or the other, never both. And you have no idea which one is right for you. Hi, I'm MartydudeVR. I own both of these treadmills. I've used both extensively, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you which one you should buy and which one I like personally. Quick disclosure, guys, I am an active Virtuix affiliate and an active Cat VR brand ambassador. Affiliate links to both are down in the description if you want to support the channel, and I promise you, neither company saw the script before I recorded it or have no say in what I say. My community has been asking me to do this comparison for months now, and I finally got time to sit down and do it right. Because the truth is, both of these treadmills have their ups and downs, but by the end of this video, I'm going to tell you which one I prefer, and most importantly, which one is right for you, because they might not be the same answer. I will be breaking this down by category, build quality, comfort, software, etc. Each category gets the winner. Some are close, some are not, and some are honestly ties. Let's go. Quick rundown for anyone new to VR treadmills. Both of these treadmills are what people call slide mills. You stay in one spot, your feet slide on a low friction surface, and sensors translate that sliding motion into walking or running or even jumping inside the game. You're not moving on a belt like a regular gym treadmill, and we're not quite close to the Ready Player One VR treadmill you guys saw in the Oasis. I get that all the time. The surface does stay still and you are the moving part. A lot of what these two VR treadmills have in common really comes from that. Both are bowl shaped, concave dishes that you stand inside of, though the curve of the surface actually helps pull your foot backward towards the center after each step. Both also come with specialized low friction shoes that let you slide on that surface without your feet catching. And both have a safety harness that holds you in place so you don't fall when you try to sprint. What's really different is how each company puts that idea together. The Virtuix Omni 1 has the slightly deeper, more pronounced bowl. The curve is significant. You're really standing in something. The low friction shoes are Virtuix creation, the overshoe, which goes over your own shoe. The tracking is done by sensors you attach to the shoes, and the safety harness is a vest that goes over your shoulders and chest and a belt that goes around your waist. The vest clips into a support arm that actually attaches from behind, and it can even go above you when you crouch. It's one of the biggest things that sets the Virtuix Omni 1 apart visually. The Catwalk C2 Plus Enhanced uses a shallower dish, still concave, but the curve is a lot less than the Omni 1. The low friction footwear is also made by Cat VR, and the computer mouse-like sensors go into the bottom of the shoe. The safety harness is a hip ring that goes around your waist instead of your shoulders, and it even locks you into place with a vertical support column that comes from behind the platform. It also includes a fold-out seat that lets you sit down for seated VR, whether that be flight sims like VTOL VR, mech games, or anything you don't really need to be standing for, or when you want to rest after running. So same category, same general approach, but very different executions on basically every structural choice. Those differences are going to come up in every category from here on out, so definitely keep that in mind, guys. Moving on to build quality and durability. Both of these treadmills feel like tanks when you first set them up. Serious engineering and a lot of thought went into the planning of developing these treadmills. Neither one of these treadmills really feels like it's going to fall apart on you. But over time, I've had way more issues with the Cat VR treadmill. Screws come loose, parts wear down, and I've had to tighten and retighten stuff on the C2 Plus Enhanced way more than I'd really like. Especially being a bigger guy, you kind of need to make sure that things are secure before you use it. Now, the repairs are easy, like genuinely easy, literally screwing something back in or just tightening something. Parts are accessible, replacements are available, and the Cat VR Discord has people who have pretty much fixed every problem that you can even have with the treadmill. But you will be doing a lot of maintenance. The Virtuix Omni 1 has needed literally nothing to basically keep it working. I set it up and I go. I literally only have to wipe the dust off of it because the bowl does get really dusty sometimes, but it's criminally easy. Both of these companies also have very solid warranties, by the way. So if something goes wrong with your treadmill, you're covered on either side. Edge here, I would give to the Omni One, just less hands-on maintenance to keep it running, to be honest. Next is the shoes. So the shoes are one of the most important accessories on either one of these VR treadmills. They're basically how you interact with the dish, and they're where the motion tracking lives. And they're what kind of wears down over time as you use a treadmill. So they definitely need their own category to compare. Completely different design philosophies on both sides. So the Virtuix Omni 1 overshoes are Virtuix own design. They go over your regular shoes, so you basically keep wearing wherever sneakers are already comfortable for you. And the overshoe strap on basically the bottom, they handle the sliding. The tracking sensors clip onto the overshoes basically on the top and communicate wirelessly over Bluetooth. Quick tip though, if you're a heavier person like me, I would recommend some Hokas, and I'll even link the ones that I use below. The cushion makes long play sessions like way more comfortable. It took me a few weeks to figure that out, so I'll definitely save you guys some time. Definitely a me problem, but worth knowing for plus size people. The catwalk shoes are made by Cat VR and uses a totally different approach. You basically slide into their shoe, and the sensors on the bottom almost look kind of like computer mice, and they read the dish surface optically as you slide. So different tech, different philosophy, but the same result. Durability, honestly, to me is where the gap kind of shows. My Virtuix Omni 1 overshoes have basically not worn much at all over the past few months using them. Now, those catwalk shoes, I've had to replace them multiple times over the past year or two, and they kind of add up. They do wear down decently fast if you use them even like a decent amount. And to me personally, I use them a lot. So while I am an extreme edge case, I've seen people in Discord kind of complain about that too. On top of that, they get really caked up with lube over time, and they start to get harder to run with, which leads to buying new pairs. And that's real money out of pocket on a decent basis. I'll probably spend a few hundred in terms of replacing shoes. And we'll come back to that in the price section. Both are easy to order replacements for though. Cat VR, you order from the store, swap it in, done. And the same with the Omni One. The edge here I will give to the Omni One. It's just more durable. No ongoing replacement costs that I have noticed at the past few months having it. And it's just a big win to me. And something that doesn't really get mentioned a lot in these type of comparison videos is lubrication. Both of these treadmills need to be lubricated with oil to work right. Now the dish surface and the shoes both rely on staying slick to slide properly. If it gets dry or grimy, you feel it immediately and it makes it terrible to use. Now, these two companies differ a lot on this because the Cat VR lube is terrible. I'm just gonna say it. It gunks up over time, builds residue on the dish, and the gunking actually makes the surface worse to use and it's a pain to use. After fighting with that gunky stuff for a little while, I actually switched over to using regular treadmill lubricant, which I'll show you guys on my catwalk now. It's the stuff that you would use on a standard motorized gym treadmill belt, and it's been so much better to use. If you're gonna buy a catwalk, I would highly recommend this treadmill belt lube because it works amazingly. On the flip side, the Omni One's lube is perfect. No gunking, no issues, applies clean, stays slick, and the only downside is they don't give you a lot of it out of the box. I would highly recommend to Virtuix to give us a bigger bottle of that because, you know, after you run out, it's kind of like, okay, what do I do now? And I haven't seen on their site as of recording this where you can buy more of it. So I don't know how much it costs to really replace it, but it is something to factor in. So the edge here really goes to the Omni One because the included lube actually works great. Next is one of the most asked about things I get when talking about VR treadmills, and that is noise. And honestly, both of these kind of sound the same to me. I really couldn't pick a winner if I had to, but both make the sliding around on a VR treadmill sound to me. But I am going to drop audio tests of both of the treadmills so you can hear it yourself. This is the sound it makes when you walk. Listen to that. And this is the C2 Plus enhanced, so way quieter. You don't hear as much impact, and even when I'm like that, it's not as loud as the other one. So definitely gotta wear this one in because right now, a little hard to sleep on because it's so new. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Look at that. If you've got hardwood floors, I'd highly recommend throwing a mat or something under either of them. Reduces sound significantly, and both communities have recommendations on what to grab. The winner here is honestly a tie. I give it a tie personally. Next is cable management and mobility. This category is where the Omni One just kind of walks away with it for me. The Omni One is Bluetooth. There are no cables outside of the power cable, which the treadmill could never really interact with. You strap on the shoes, you step in the bowl, and you play, and it's beautiful. Now, the Catwalk C2 Plus has two long cables, one that's a USB that connects to the computer, and one that's a power cable, and both of those cables get in the way. I literally cut my own cable once on accident with the treadmill. Like, I'm not joking. Sometimes the cable can wrap around the bottom part, and if you hit it, it could slice the cable and you have to get a repair cable sent in. Was it a me problem? Yeah, you could say that, but it's also a problem that I can't really not explain to you guys because it happened to me. And honestly, it's a problem that can't happen with the Virtuix Omni One because there's no way in heck that cable can reach the spinny part of the treadmill. And even in terms of treadmill mobility, it's the same story. Both have wheels on the bottom, but the Omni One's wheels actually work. And even though the Omni One is a slightly bigger machine, it rolls around very easy. The Cat VR wheels, even though it has them on the C2 Plus Enhanced, they're functionally useless on carpet. You can still push it around the room a little bit with a little muscle, but it's not the smooth wheeling into the corner experience that I love with the Virtuix Omni One. So the edge here goes to the Omni One. Clean sweep. And we also have to talk about how you actually fit into the treadmill and whether it's comfortable or not. So the Cat VR uses a hip harness. You step in, it goes around your hips and it locks you into place. And the Omni One uses a vest style harness, which goes over your shoulders and attached to the support arm that we talked about earlier. And it does actually have a hip harness to kind of hold you in place also. Now, this one is very debatable. I've actually heard people kind of lean towards Cat VR, people lean towards the Omni One. But to me personally, the Omni Vest is just better than just having a hip harness because it distributes the weight a little bit differently. It feels more secure. You can lean and twist without it just riding with your body. Now, the hip ring does work on the Cat VR, and some people prefer it because it's less restrictive. But for me, I feel like the vest is just better for crouching, better for jumping, and just general movement on the VR treadmill. And in terms of both of them collecting sweat, both are cleanable. So there's nothing to call out there, but the edge does go to the Omni One for having the better harness to me. And something I didn't even mention, that you can lock the Omni One into place. So when you get in or get out, you have a stable spot to lock your treadmill in, which makes it so much better getting out. With all that being said though, getting into the Cat VR treadmill is so much faster. You literally do the hip harness, click, done. You step out, same, just unlatch and you're basically out. Getting into the Omni One takes a few extra seconds. You got to put the vest on like a backpack. You got to clip it. You got to put on the hip harness. Even taking a break off the shoe, which you also have to do with the Cat VR treadmill. And then you have to unlock the treadmill to get the moving. But once you're in, you feel way more secure and you just have way more movement options. You can lean further, you can move more aggressively, and you can just do stuff that you can't do just strapped into a hip harness. And like I mentioned before, you can just crouch insanely easy. Even adjusting the height of the support for different people is different on both of these treadmills. But the Omni One is the easier treadmill to adjust because you don't have to unscrew anything. If you use a screwdriver, you literally just have to unlatch, pull it up or pull it down. The Cat VR, there's a whole screw situation where you got to take the back plate off, lift the whole thing up, and it is not bad, but it's just not as fast. And even if I had to declare a winner, there's no real winner here. The Cat VR is faster getting in and out, but the Omni One is faster to adjust between more users and is generally more secure. So I kind of have to edge it to no one. So what about setup and daily use? So on unboxing day, the Omni One is the easy winner. The Cat VR treadmill has so many screws. It's a real assembly job. Now, after doing it a few times, I don't mind it. But my first time, I sat there for a while. The Omni One, you pretty much open the box, put the whole big pieces together, and you just start playing. It's very simple. It took me way less time. In terms of daily startup, both of them are quite fast. You pop them on, power up, and then boom, you're in VR. But the Cat VR shoe sensors can be a little finicky. Sometimes they don't pop up right away in the software, and sometimes I've had them kind of go off while I was playing and you're kind of just standing there, kind of shifting your feet because you have to actually kind of move the shoes for the trackers to sense, and it can be annoying. The Omni 1 doesn't have that problem because the tracking activates once the tracker is clipped into the shoe, so I don't really have that problem of it dropping while I'm playing. It just works. So the edge here is the Omni 1, faster initial setup, and more reliable daily startup. And next is one of probably the most debated topics when talking about these two treadmills, and that is software. And here's my honest take. The Omni 1 software is just not very fleshed out for PC VR right now outside of their Omni headset system. That's the cleanest way I can really put it. It works, it's not just fleshed out to me personally. They are working on it, but if you're buying this to use with your own headset and your own PC, you're gonna bump into edges here and there. That's actually why I built my own app called OmniTune, which is open source, free, and on my GitHub. It's actually a GUI for tuning your Omni 1 motion profiles without editing config files by hand. Without it, you have to go to a certain folder and create files to use with the Omni 1 on games that aren't supported officially. The link is in the description, use it if you want. Need some more updates, but your boy has to make more videos for you guys, so give me some time. I also wrote a small Steam VR proxy driver to fix lighthouse tracking and position issues. I know it's a word salad, but I have 4 lighthouses in my room for Steam VR tracking. So people like me who have a lot of lighthouses might run into this issue, and it's worth mentioning briefly. But if you need a fix for that, hit me up on Discord or just join my Discord and I will send it to you. I explained this problem more in my first impressions video on the Omni 1, so I'm not gonna go into it more here. On the flip side, the Cat VR software is honestly just way more fleshed out on the PC VR side. They have their own gateway app, and it's just a very mature piece of software that I've seen evolve over time. It does have its own annoyances like random disconnects and stuff kind of not syncing up. They're not super frequent, but it does happen. And also the sensor pickup thing that I mentioned earlier. Sometimes you gotta jiggle your shoes to wake them back up, and you may have to restart your game in certain cases. Both companies update their software at decent intervals, and neither has ever gone silent on me in terms of updates. Both also have their own very active modding community, Cat VR especially. There are always people coming up with new shoe mods all the time in there. Now the Omni 1 scene is newer, but they do a lot of great work in there. People have come up with great ways to provide support for newbies and people who want to play certain games. The edge here though, I would give to Cat VR just more out of the box compatibility, which I'll get into more later, and it's better for PC VR people outside of the ecosystem. Now in our next category, I have to be really honest with you guys about my limitations. Both treadmills have a standalone use case. Cat VR has the Cat Nexus for Quest-based standalone play, and the Omni 1 has a deep integration with the Omni headset, which is a Pico headset. Neither one of these VR treadmills require a PC. Now I have to be honest, I have not really used the Cat Nexus. Cat VR did send me one, but I just haven't been a big Quest user in the past few years. I'm kind of PC VR all the way nowadays. So I'm not going to fake an opinion on something I haven't used. If standalone Quest support is a deciding factor for you, check out reviews from creators who have actually used the Quest side of it. I'm just not your guy on that one. On the Omni 1 side, I actually don't mind the standalone implementation at all. I actually respect it. It's well built, it works, the experience is solid, but I'm also not going to use it that much because I'm PC VR first. So most of my Omni 1 time has been hooked into my PC. That being said, the integration between the Omni 1 and the Omni 1 headset / Pico headset is genuinely amazing. Very in-depth, very fleshed out. And if you're someone who wants a fully self-contained, buy this VR treadmill and just go experience, the Omni 1's ecosystem is just very polished, especially more than I expected. One specific thing worth calling out though is the business streaming app that the Omni headset connects to for PC VR with the Omni headset. You plug it in, it just works, and the interface makes sense. Like, it's very, very fleshed out. And you can tell that side of the ecosystem is where Virtuix really put in some serious work. And this actually connects back to what I said in the software category. The Omni 1 software is rougher outside of their headset ecosystem. Inside the ecosystem though, it's amazing. And for the winner here, I'm gonna put no score because I just haven't put enough time on the Cat Nexus to call this fairly. But I will say though that the Omni 1 ecosystem with the Omni headset is the most polished version of the Omni 1 experience overall. Next is game compatibility, and that's where the Catwalk CC Plus Enhanced flexes really hard. Now, literally everything works on the C2 Plus Enhanced because Steam VR sees it as a VR controller, and that is the magic. You can set custom profiles per game, like I mentioned earlier, Skyrim VR with Mad Guy Overhaul works perfectly. Contractors Showdown, Minecraft VR, No Man's Sky VR, Grimlord, all clean. If a game can take VR controller input, the Catwalk can use it. Even UE VR games work amazing. And on the flip side, the Omni One has some great native support for some great titles like Contractors, Fallout 4 VR, even Skyrim without mods, and just a few other games. And when the profile is set up correctly, it's awesome. You do have to connect the controls in Steam VR's controller menu and set up a text file for games that aren't natively supported though. And honestly, outside of the list that Virtuix gives you, you are rolling the dice. Now, the worst thing about the Omni One that I can say has been booting up a game and just randomly finding out it doesn't work and there's nothing I can do about it. Then you're back on Steam looking for something else to play. Now, a VR treadmill niche the Catwalk owns is including a seat that makes seated VR like VTOL VR Iron Rebellion, which is a mech game, genuinely fun. Especially with the bottom haptics turned on that the treadmill supports. If you're into flight sims or mech games, that's a real perk on the Cat VR side that the Omni One doesn't have at all. The edge here is for Cat VR, massive game library out of the box, plus a seat for sim/seated VR. You can also walk and run normally on the Catwalk. This does feel smaller, not light, but the normal pace movement does work really good. On the other hand, the Omni One running and moving on it is just way easier by a mile. It's not close. If you want to actually sprint in VR and be fully comfortable, if you want to do quick movement, stuff like that, the Omni One is the way to go. Now, you can walk backwards on both treadmills. I've seen people do it. I can't do it good on either one, but it does work on both treadmills, and I would say it's a lot easier on the Omni One. On a scale of 1 to 10 for raw locomotion immersion, I would give the Omni One a 10 and the Catwalk at an 8.5. Now, the Catwalk is still really good, but the Omni One just feels way better to me in terms of actually walking and running. So the edge here goes to the Omni One, significantly better movement, I feel. So what about losing weight though? I mean, fitness is a real thing with both of these treadmills, and I actually have some real numbers from my own use. So using the Cat VR treadmill, I actually lost 20 pounds over a course of a streaming season. Daily sessions, a lot of Minecraft and Contractors VR. I was playing everything, even Skyrim, crazy amount of stuff. For the Omni One, I've actually lost about 15 pounds, kind of using it off and on while you're doing weightlifting and stuff like that, sessions when I can, not every day. And honestly, both work. Both are real cardio. And I do about an hour of cardio per session on either one when I use it kind of by myself. And for the streams, I even show my heart rate, which the chat loves. I also haven't noticed any discernible joint impact difference between the two. I mean, like my knees, my ankles, and my back, both have been fine for me. You can get sore though, especially if you don't stretch. So I highly recommend stretching before and after. Both of these are cardio machines, and I would say treat them as such. So make sure you stretch and do everything you need to do to stay healthy. So this category is a tie. And now we got to talk about price and value, the big subject here. So the Omni One is $25.95 for core with just the VR treadmill by itself. And the big price is $34.95 for the full kit with the Omni headset. The Catwalk C2 Plus Enhanced is $15.98 MSRP, and I've caught it on sale for as low as $1,100. I even have my own discount code for the Catwalk treadmill. So the price gap is very enormous. At MSRP, the Catwalk is just under half the price of a fully kitted Omni. On sale, it's roughly a third. The factor is the wear and tear. I've actually had to replace a lot of shoes for the Cat VR treadmill for a streamer, for a content creator. And honestly, the Omni One hasn't had a comparable wear cost for me yet. And it's also worth knowing, people do sell the Catwalk on the used market pretty often. So if you decide to buy one and decide to upgrade and move on later, there is a market, or you can look for the market to buy one instead of using my link. I'll be honest with you. Both companies have really good support in terms of asking about price, stuff like that. Just make sure you read the return policy and warranty stuff before you buy either one of these VR treadmills. So who should buy what treadmill? When I tally up the numbers from the categories, the Omni One wins. Build durability, shoes, lubrication, cable mobility, harness setup, and locomotion feel. Where the Catwalk wins is software maturity, game compatibility, and price. Now, there was a tie in noise, getting in and out, fitness, streaming, all that stuff. And I didn't score one thing, which was the standalone. So who buys what? I would say buy the Catwalk C2 Plus Enhanced if the Omni One's price tag just isn't in the cards for you. You don't mind a little bit of routine maintenance. You play seated sim VR games like VTOL VR, Iron Rebellion, just want that seat. Or if your game is full of games that just cannot be supported on a Virtuix Omni 1. For example, as of right now, what best would be modded Skyrim, just not supported on the Omni 1. I would say buy the Omni 1 if you want the best raw locomotion experience that exists at the consumer level to me, or if you want to play games it natively supports and you want the best VR treadmill version of those. And if budgeting isn't the deciding factor. And lastly, if you want a just set and forget type of hardware that just keeps working. To me personally, the Omni 1 is the better VR treadmill on more of the categories that matter to me. Now, the Catwalk is a fantastic value and an incredible piece of hardware for the money. But when someone asks me which one to buy with no context, like if price isn't a factor, I'm pointing to the Omni 1. Now, who should buy neither? If you're not into VR fitness and don't want to actually run the VR, get both. Get a chair, get a headset, save the money, bro. These are tools for a specific kind of VR experience, and honestly, there are cheaper locomotion options in VR that you can look into. All right, guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. This one was a lot to make, very long script, like a lot of writing. So I hope you guys appreciate the effort. And if you have any questions, make sure you hit the comments below. If you have any comments, if you own either one of these VR treadmills, make sure you hit the comments. Like I said before, I have affiliate links for both of these VR treadmills. And if you want more of a detailed dive into either one of these treadmills, I have multiple reviews up of all the Catwalk treadmills and the Virtuix Omni 1. Shout out to both of these companies for sending a treadmill out. I really appreciate it. It just shows the growth we have on this channel. Make sure you check out the Pimax Dream Air review I recently did. Really good. A lot of people liked it. I'm going to AWE 2026 next month. I'm going to have a lot of content dropping for you guys, so stay tuned. Hit the notification bell. Hype the video up. Come on back. It's been with MartydudeVR, and remember, just a dude with a VR headset. Peace.